everyone. Babula and I are back with another episode of Astrology now. And I was just having a chat to her earlier saying we could be in for a long session in this episode because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And, I was thinking, I've often heard a few astrology friends wonder out loud about when the Age of Aquarius began. But I actually think that the fuse has been lit for revolution. So that's a really good indicator that it has begun. It definitely has begun. What do you think, Babula?
Yes, I love that, what you just said. The fuse has been lit for revolution. Can I quote that? I should put it up on my website.
Well, it's true. And I was just sitting down making a note before about the things that have come up in the last last few years, but it's been going on for a little while before that, which is freedom of speech and data protection, surveillance, gender identification is the latest one, mandates, body autonomy. I mean, what else can we add to the list? I know that there's more, but there are all these. I mean, I think people have thought that the Age of Aquarius was about freedom, but there's all these other issues. Because you can't have revolution without things to revolt against.
That's right. That's right. And boy, have we got things coming down, to want to, and revolution's about pushing back against control, isn't it? And like top-down control.
Yeah.
That's right. So it is that impulse in Aquarius, and with the planet Uranus that rules Aquarius, to push back and revolt and break away from and break free from those old, top-down Capricornian constraints and restrictions. Not that Capricorn's only about that, please, you beautiful Capricorns, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But, that shadow side of Capricorn is absolutely about total, absolute control.
And I think in Australia, we haven't had that to the degree it is now. Before.
That's right.
We haven't had war here. We've had preparations for war here. We haven't had to fight for our freedoms. We've just taken it for granted.
Yes, and our men have gone to war and had a lot of loss of life, but it hasn't actually
come to the country.
That's right. And war in the sense of actual guns and bombs. Wars happen in other ways too, don't they?
They do, yeah.
That's right. So, man, where do we start? There's so much.
Well, why don't you start with the upcoming new moon anyway?
We'll start with the new moon and see where it takes us. So on the 29th of July, the new moon will occur at 5 degrees of Leo. So Leo, fixed fire sign, the lion heart, generosity, ruled by the sun, shining brightly. The colors, of course, are, so I put my fire goddess behind me, the fiery colors, the hot, warm, bright colors. Leo's not a sign to hide its light. It's not supposed to. Shining brightly like the sun. And it can offer a period of joy and creativity and play and fun. And normally that would be true. It can still be true. I think it's a wonderful invitation on this Leo new moon and during this Leo lunar cycle to look at that. Am I having any fun right now? Where's the joy? But there's some big energies moving. So it might be a little more challenging during this particular Leo lunar cycle to find space even for our creative pursuits and fun and playtime. But if we can, it's a really good thing to do. I think it's a great antidote to a lot of the pressures and heavy energies that are around. It's a lot of pressure. People are under a lot of pressure.
There's a gravity in the world, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's serious.
Yes. But that Leo energy, it's about leadership, or being on the world stage, or in your community stage, for example.
Exactly.
You might be on radio, you might be on television, you may be you know, a performer.
That's right.
Those sorts of things, you know. But so it's all about having an audience too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And showing up and being seen.
Yeah.
You know, and being recognized or acknowledged, or shining your light, you know, and not stepping back into the shadows. So this is a period for us all in our own particular way, in our own particular life and situation. You know, am I showing up? Am I letting my true self be seen?
Yeah.
So
I think too that Leo, like I've had some various friends over the years that you know, they do that, but they like to be appreciated for it too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's absolutely true. And you'll see that with little Leo children. They need appreciation, recognition, acknowledgement, because that actually helps the light to grow stronger. Because often underneath Leo, I've noticed, there can often be a kind of an insecurity and self-doubt.
Yeah.
That might then display itself as having a lot of confidence, but underneath that, there might not be all that confidence, you know. So I think in many cases, Leo is, and those who have Leo energies, to kind of develop that strong sense of self and sovereignty and identity, and this is who I am, and letting that light shine. It can be a process. It's not always just an automatic given.
No, that's right. And I've got a good friend who is a Leo, and she's always likes to be in the background. They're not all showy, you know, so there's other things going on in people's charts too.
Exactly. That could be 12th house. So Leo planets might be in the 12th house. So it's more behind the scenes. But there'll be a lot of creative power in but it's not always on outward display.
That's right. Yeah.
So on the same day, so let's look at what else is going on around this Leo new moon. On the same day, on the 29th, the planet Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, a fire sign, comes to a stationary point, meaning it's like at a standstill, like a train stopped at the station, and begins to move backwards and turn retrograde. And so Jupiter is in Aries, another fire sign, and it's making a trine that is a harmonious aspect or contact to this new moon at 5 of Leo. So Jupiter at 8 of Aries, trine the new moon. So that's a very fiery, very creative, uplifting, inspired energy. But it's interesting because Jupiter's stationary. Jupiter is a big energy. And on the new moon isn't always a time of action. It's a time often to be still. Even in Leo, Leo's a fixed sign. So it's to stop, consider, be still, question, look, how do I want to move forward from here without just diving in and rushing into it, you know, giving the lunar cycle time to develop.
Allowing time for the seeds to drop into the ground, into the garden.
Exactly. So it's a lot about, you know, autonomy, being ourselves, showing up. And Jupiter has also got so much to do with our beliefs, you know, what we believe, what we see, what is true for me, and are we up for that being questioned and challenged and reevaluated. So I think, you know, when Jupiter goes through this 5-month retrograde phase, it is a really valuable time to be looking at that, you know, or I think I need to find out more about that, you know, like I'm not really sure that what I thought that was about is that, or we might find ourselves really doing, coming across information or teachers that kind of shift our perspective a bit and help us to understand something on a deeper level, you know, when Jupiter's retrograde. But Jupiter fundamentally is always regarded as a positive energy, even when it's retrograde. You know, it's inspiring, uplifting, hopeful. And in Aries, it's very much about the bold quest.
Yes, the bold quest. I'm going to use that one then.
Great. Yeah, it is. This is bold, adventurous quest into the unknown.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's that impulse to, I have to find out. I have to go there. That's the only way I'm going to find out about it. Or I have to investigate this or explore this new idea that I've come across, or a new teacher, or a new philosophical point of view, or a country I haven't been to before, and that's the very strong when it's in Aries to just go and do it.
Yeah. So, you go on. You're probably going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. So.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'll just finish that bit off. That I find that really quite wonderful, really, that Jupiter is so prominently making this trine to this Leo new moon. So it's that fire energy. Fire gives us energy, vitality, enthusiasm, passion. I think it's a fabulous word for fire, particularly for Leo. I think of all the out there Leos, they're full of passion.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And drama.
Yes.
Right. I mean, there's going to be, as a wonderful, important spiritual teacher in my life many years ago, he used to say, about the future, he'd say, one thing you can guarantee, there'll be drama. It's true. Life is full of drama.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But a lot happens around Leo.
And a lot does. That's right.
Yeah.
And I watch my little grandson who's just turned 5. He's a Leo with a lot of planets in Leo. And when he's telling me a story or explaining something, I now just observe him and there's a smile. I love it. He's like, and he's gesticulating and he enunciates and he's describing, and it's the whole body's involved. And it's this kind of drama that he's expressing this thing that and it might be trying to explain how something works. He loves to know how things work. And look, if you put this in, and then she said, and then I said, and he's only 5. So I just go, wow, what's he going to be like in 10 years' time?
A performer at heart.
That's right. He loves to put on the music and dance and throw himself around, and it's full of expression. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. Personal expression. It's lovely.
Yeah, it is. So, and just, you go on, because I'll come to something.
No, I was just going to go along those lines, and I've some of the greatest people that I've listened to. And I remember this one particular man. I went to a personal development day, and he was the facilitator, and he was amazing. And to this day, I remember the way that he was telling a story, and exactly the same thing, the way he expressed himself. And we're all sitting there on the edge of our seat waiting for the end of the story that he was using to explain something, like analogy for something he was getting to the point about. And it was just, and to this day it's imprinted on my mind.
Yes.
I see him,
And I've noticed that a lot of teachers or presenters have Leo, because they will explain or express or share something, and there's energy behind it, and there's a presence there, and there's a quality in the voice that carries and inspires and engages and keeps people's attention, keeps it alive and dynamic. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so Mercury is currently in Leo, and on the new moon, Mercury will be at 18 degrees of Leo. And why that's important and significant is that it aligns with the building up of the famous, huge, important Uranus-Mars North Node triple conjunction at 18 degrees of Taurus. And I printed up a visual of this, because we really got a lot to say about this. So on the 29th is a new moon, and on the 1st and 2nd of August, this triple conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and the North Node forms on those 2 days. So the new moon really sort of leads us into that And I've just pulled out the key planets and taken all the others away. So there's Mercury at 18 of Leo, making an exact square to the North Node, Uranus and Mars. Mars is almost at 18. It'll get there by the 1st and 2nd. And there's Saturn over here in Aquarius at 23, and the South Node over here at 18, making this extraordinarily powerful square, what we call a grand cross or a grand square in the fixed signs. And I remember I was involved in a group of people who all sort of did interviews with a wonderful astrologer called Tiani, and I decided that I would speak about the fixed signs in 2022.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I could, and because I have quite a strong T-square in the fixed signs, it's being impacted by this triple conjunction. So it means something to me. So, and I was just feeling like the fixed signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius are getting a hammering this year.
Yes.
You know, like really powerful, because the nodes and the eclipses are in Taurus and Scorpio all year, and into next year, Uranus is in Taurus. And even at the, last year, as I was looking forward, just playing around with dates and transits and things on my computer program, I saw then that August the 1st and 2nd, I went, holy moly, look at that. And here we are.
Yeah.
And Saturn's in the fixed sign of Aquarius. So there's these squares and these grand crosses are energies of tension. They're being held in this very strong configuration and alignment of tension and power, out of which comes something new. We all have square aspects in our chart, but they push us and force us to grow. You know, if we don't have them, we're just like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when you've got squares, like you're pushed.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like is on the 1st of August, right? But there's this tangential build-up beforehand and
Exactly.
after. So that's just a peak point. But
exactly.
So people would be feeling this. Some people would be feeling this already, and for some time actually.
That's
feeling it build up.
That's exactly right. And I might have mentioned this last time, 2 weeks ago on the full moon, that I started to notice, because I was interested to see if this would be the case. Mars moved into Taurus on the 5th of July, and pretty much from that day, I could see and feel that energy being activated, because Mars is such an energy planet. Mars is that masculine energy of action. He's, after all, the god of war and action, and so he moved into Taurus, which is a really powerful sign, and started to activate, even though he was still some distance away from the Uranus North Node conjunction. It started to really trigger that energy. And so on the new moon, on the 29th, Mars will be almost at 16 degrees of Taurus. And by the 1st and 2nd, just 2-3 days later, it's at that 18 degrees, right on Uranus and North Node. Now, that doesn't happen every day.
Yes. Yeah. So for people who think that we're speaking Martian because they have little background in astrology.
Yes, it's all gobbledygook.
Yeah, it is. So how would you, if you had to think off the top of your head, how might you see that sort of playing itself out, or in what parts of society or in our lives, or give us a sort of some examples?
Yeah.
Expect. So
absolutely. So I think a good place to start is to talk for a minute about Taurus, because all this action's going on in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus we call in astrology a fixed earth sign. Its purpose is to build, to manifest, to stabilize, like a great tree that sinks its roots into the earth. Builders, farmers, the earth, the ground, money, security, banking, everything to do with finances, Taurus is the primary money sign.
Not
only that
resources.
Resources,
yeah.
Our values, and in human life on planet Earth, we use money or some form of money historically to, we put a value on it to exchange goods. And in Taurus, because it's a fixed sign and it's fixed Earth, it wants everything to be rock solid and very, very stable. The thing Taurus does not like or enjoy or appreciate or welcome is change and the unexpected.
Yes.
It's all about building security and stability and certainty. Well, lo and behold, in 2019, the planet Uranus, the great shaker and mover and agent of disruption, upheaval, chaos, change, rebellion, and awakening, moved into Taurus in 2019 and is there for 7 years. So from that moment on, Taurus began to really experience this sense of disruption and uncertainty, and it's like the ground is moving under our feet. Yeah. And for anyone who's got planets in Taurus, or even just to consider where Taurus is in your chart, what house is this in, and what area of life, even without a planet there, all this is going on in that area of your life. So Uranus in Taurus is the background, and Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, sky god, consciousness, intelligence, technology, big collective movements of humanity. And it's that impulse and that urge for freedom and rebellion against status quo, restrictions, limitations, imprisonment, chains, and so on. And in Taurus, on a kind of lower, more unconscious level, in a way, we humans can be chained by our attachment to what we think is security.
Yes.
Having, have I got enough money in the bank? Do I own enough houses? How much land do I own? Now, that's okay. But if it becomes like a real attachment and I can't survive without all those, that's not going to be helpful when these Uranus transits come in, because change is definitely going to happen. Yeah,
so it's a bit like going into a hoarder's home and clearing it out, isn't it? And that's a real psychological shot.
It is. Yeah. Yes. And they go through trauma. It's traumatizing. If you've ever seen those shows, I've seen a few of them. People are traumatized.
Yes.
So it's a shock. Uranus is the planet of shock and shock waves. It can, people's bones break when they have a Uranus transit, and all of a sudden everything's changed. Earthquakes happen with Uranus. Yeah. When Uranus is triggered by a faster moving planet, such as this, the Earth moves, things crack open. So that can feel scary for some people who, just want things to remain the same and be normal. Can we please go back to normal? No.
Uranus is it's and I know there's been shocking things in our history, in our own lives. The death of Princess Diana was one of them. The bombing,
massive shockwave.
And it's like it's not even on your radar. That's how it's and that's the unexpected things. It's below the horizon. You don't see it. It's like the iceberg,
Yeah.
And it just comes out of the blue. You don't even think about that happening.
And suddenly it happens.
And that's the shock.
That's right. I can remember, as you say that, that was a huge shock. John Lennon being shot.
Yes.
I remember when Steve Irwin died.
Yeah.
What shocked me, I was shocked, but what shocked me was how strongly it impacted me. I was like, wow, this has really affected me. That took me by surprise. And it stirred up a lot, and for me, it was around, he's a champion of the natural world and the wilderness, and he's been taken. Nobody killed him, he was taken doing what he loved. But It really triggered. So we get triggered by these big events.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, what was it, the Gulf War? Was it 91? I think I remember hearing on the radio, on the news, that the Americans were sending planes over to Iraq, and I just burst into tears. I thought, oh, here we go. You know, like this was just such a shock.
It's a shock.
Yes.
Yeah. So shocks can happen in all kinds of ways. I'm thinking of our friends in northern New South Wales. I've had, a couple of major floods and still processing, dealing with the shock and the trauma of all. So it's these, and I'm not trying to frighten people. Please, we're going to talk about the wonderful positive
yes
things that can come out of this, but we have to be realistic about it. Big things happen, and because we've got these important energies coming together. So Mars, a planet of action, conflict, battle, the god of war, meets Uranus. This is high voltage energy. Uranus is electricity, electrical storms, lightning, and Mars is energy and action. So, and will. It's a very strong volatile combination.
Yeah.
And it can really trigger that Uranian impulse to rebellion in a very, very, very strong way. And it's also quite often when there are major earthquakes where they're really huge, strong, high on the Richter scale, and a lot of damage and loss of life, there's usually a very strong contact of a fast-moving planet to Uranus on that day, and Mars is often one of them.
Yeah.
So, most astrologers at the moment are sort of going, there's likely to be some big earth movements, explosions, outbreaks of big conflicts, big rebellions. We never know with Uranus exactly what will happen.
Yes.
It's always the unexpected.
Yeah, I'm thinking like cyclones, tornadoes, that's things from the sky,
Yes, and it's a wild energy.
Yes.
And it's in Taurus, so it's impacting the earth, physicality, our sense of security. Like people go through huge tornadoes and whole houses are lifted up. And
yeah,
so that I'm speaking metaphorically, but it's also real.
Yes.
The stock market crashing. Taurus is money and banking, financial systems. But the fact that it's also on the North Node. The North Node is a very important karmic, dharmic point of evolution and collective consciousness moving forward.
Yes.
Destiny, so this can be the positive expression of this through all of this intense, powerful energy. People can experience really significant breakthroughs spiritually, in their relationships, in their domestic life, in their family, in their finances, in their employment, their work. Like it can be, that's it, I can't do this job, but one more day I'm out of here.
Yes.
Or you're in a relationship and you've been struggling and struggling and struggling, and all of a sudden one day you just go, I can't do this one more day. It's done.
And you'll say after these dramatic experiences, that was the best thing that ever happened.
Exactly.
And that's what you're talking about, isn't it? This is the positive thing.
Exactly.
All these things happen, but afterwards you go, wow, well, that really shifted
Exactly.
Shifted tack. Yeah.
And what it does is it opens up freedom.
Yes.
Because that's what this energy is ultimately about. So in Taurus, we can get really locked up, and fearful, and I have to hold on tightly. And Uranus is going, things will change. They just will.
Yes.
And everyone's going to experience this in their own ways. It depends how it's and what it's triggering in their own chart and where this is playing out in the chart and so on. And some will be impacted more than others. But certainly in the collective field, this is a big and important. It's really probably the main astrological event of 2022. And it's the prelude to eclipse season, which is coming up in October, November, in Taurus Scorpio, very activated by these Uranian energies. So, you know, the rest of the year is quite dynamic and strong.
Yes. I would say different words, but yes.
That's right. So, you know,
you know what hits the fan.
I know. And you know, I feel that impulse to say buckle up. And part of me goes, well, maybe don't buckle up.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like
see where you land.
Yeah, on a soul level, like to really, and this is, I think, important. On a soul level, if we have a sense of why we're here, maybe we're like, okay, bring it on. I'm ready. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know, I'm here for this.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not saying necessarily it'll be easy, but you know, we can just open to this. And so you know, this triple conjunction is impacting my chart quite strongly. And I could see this coming even a couple of years ago. I thought, oh, 2022 looks interesting for me.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. But so far, you know, a lot of really good positive things are happening. Sometimes it gets intense,
yes.
And I feel the stress and pressure, but then something breaks through and shifts. I go, fabulous. So if we can keep that kind of perspective, but if our main priority is security and comfort, these energies can be very difficult.
Yes. Yeah, I feel sorry for the Taurians that I know. Actually,
yeah.
I had a friend visiting last weekend and she was going through a lot.
Yes.
A lot, because she's a sun and moon in Taurus.
Yes, yes.
And yes, so she was in a bit of a fit, and she said she actually basically had a breakdown at work. Lost it. She said, I lost the plot, shoved everything off my desk.
Yes.
Tried to kick a hole in the wall, slammed.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. You know, so she really just lost it.
Exactly. Because this pressure is building, and at some point something has to crack.
Yeah.
There's only so much we can take. But out of that, it's like the pressure is building because something has to give and move and change. And deep inside, there's a part of us that knows that, but we might be resisting it because we're afraid. And that's very human, you know. Like, you know, someone in a job they really can't stand, but they're there because it pays their rent or their mortgage and puts their kids through school. I get it. That's very Taurian. That's part of reality. But something else is calling.
Yes.
While we resist and try and hang on and hang in there, sooner or later the pressure breaks and something erupts because it just can't. Or we get really sick, or we have an injury and end up, well, we can't do it anyway. You know, like things happen with Uranus.
Yeah. And I think with the Jupiter retrograde as well, it's like about, you know, these are, it's a higher mindedness.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about, I think for me, it is about, we receive a lot of callings in our life, and there's a spiritual path that we're on, you know, whether people admit it or not. You don't have to agree with it, but when we keep denying those callings, they get strong. If you know, if they're really important, they get stronger and stronger and stronger till things manifest in this reality to make us move in a certain direction.
Exactly.
You know? It's like a kick up the pants and grab you by the scruff of the neck and come on, you knucklehead, you know, like, get on with it.
Exactly. Like life does what it has to get our attention.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes it gets to get very loud indeed if we're resisting, or, you know, resisting in just usually fear that makes us resist. There's a kind of inherent inertia often in Taurus, you know, and this energy since 2019 of Uranus coming through here is really, really such a powerful catalyst. And so as you were talking about your friend, I was thinking of those words of break, you know, breaking, break out, break down, break through.
Yeah.
You know, what's wanting to break through here to the other side? Break on through to the other side. That song just very good. Well, that was the Doors, wasn't it?
I think so.
But, you know, to break through to the other side. And so we cling to our security because it's known, even if we might be miserable in it, you know.
Yes.
And on the other side, freedom beckons, awakening beckons, consciousness beckons, more light, more spaciousness to live a bigger life, you know.
You just reminded me, I've heard people say who don't want to change, and they say, oh, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And I think, no, it's the devil.
Exactly.
Snap out of it, you know.
Exactly.
Get out of that situation or out of that job or whatever it is, because it's crushing you.
Exactly.
So, like, exactly, break through.
Break through.
Yeah.
Yes. Break out, you know, jailbreak, break out of jail. That's right. So this is a really key pivotal point, and you're absolutely right. It's actually been building up all year because Uranus and the North Node sort of moves backwards through the signs and Uranus slowly moves forward. So they've been kind of just getting closer and closer and closer. Uranus being the slower planet, it's just been at those few degrees, but the North Node's been moving back towards it. And for a couple of months now, they've been what we call within orb of each other, you know, close enough degrees to really start to have an influence on each other.
Mm.
And then they have this exact meeting on the 1st and 2nd of August. But why it's so significant is that Mars happens to be at exactly the same degree at the same time. So, whoa, that's a big energy.
Yes.
Now, Mars will then, in the subsequent days, continue to move past and move on, and he will leave Taurus on the 20th of August. And I think we're going to notice a shift. He's like, okay, watch out, I'm ready for battle, I'm coming through. When he comes through, hits this conjunction of the North Node and Uranus, massive activation. He goes, okay, job well done, guys. And he keeps moving, and then he leaves the sign and goes into Gemini, which is another story because we'll talk about that further down the track. The Mars is really important in the second half of 2022. It's a really important energy. And let's face it, there's a lot of conflict on battle. I was going to say on battle Earth. on planet Earth, it's a bit of a battleground, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I
think we sense that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not all in this realm. That's what I pick up.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. I agree with you completely. Therein lies, you know, Saturn in Aquarius. Things are happening in other dimensions as well.
Yes.
As a part of this whole story. So I was going somewhere with that, but you know, typically I have lost the thread a little bit. That's okay. So yeah, anyone with planets around 17, 18, 19 degrees of Taurus or Scorpio or Leo or Aquarius is really being hit very strongly by this. Now, it can be truly a combination of something stressful and major suddenly happening that feels like a shock and a crisis, but it can also be, within that, it can also be extremely liberating. And dare I say it, for some, even exciting.
I
right?
pick that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, you know, like stuff happens and to shift us out of this jail we put ourselves in. And we go, oh, you know, we're going off into the unknown. But I actually think as a way to cope with it is to let that stuff go. And doesn't mean you have to let it go like in one big foul swoop, but let little pieces go all along to diffuse the stress. And look at it as an adventure.
Yeah.
You know, because that is that you were talking before about Aries, everything happening in Aries, and that's that adventurous spirit, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because that's what pioneers do.
That's right.
They go off into the unknown for an adventure.
Yeah, exactly. And the presence of Mars here, ruler of Aries, is going to be calling us to take action.
Yes.
And in Taurus, the action is practical. something to do with your finances. Like there's a lot going on in the world of banking and money and finances. You know, everyone needs to be really considering and looking at, you know, their financial arrangements and what, you know, what perhaps new choices they might need to be making as things are very unstable. But it's also like things like the land, the earth, food, growing of food. You have supplies, you know, can you grow some food? All those, like what action do we need to take at this time of tremendous turmoil?
And I was seeing an example of that. Maybe you can jog my memory, but there was a country over in Europe where the bank had announced they would no longer work with cash. So all the bankers, the banking people, their clients, they withdrew all their cash. And so the bank had to renege on what they decided to do. And I thought, wow, that's just such a, you know, we the people.
The Uranus, the people.
Yeah, our money, you know, Taurus. You know, no, not
exactly.
doing that. Sorry.
Exactly. That was in Ireland.
Was it Ireland?
Just recently, just days ago. That's right. I was so thrilled to see that. That, you know, like I saw this meme, which I posted yesterday, I think, and I loved it. It was so simple. It was something like, but what can I do? Said 7 billion people.
Yes.
Like each individual feels helpless against those big, powerful forces. But actually, all the power truly is with the people.
Always has been.
Always has been.
Yeah, but they've just made, or we have just made these prisons to put ourselves in.
Exactly.
Yes. And we can break free from that anytime.
Exactly. So Uranus is this, when Uranus is very active in different ways astrologically over the years, it's always an acceleration of the wake-up call. You know, big way. So it's a catalyst, a tremendous catalyst. And of course, the square to Saturn in Aquarius, at 23 of Aquarius, is this tension that's been going on since last year, all last year and this year, that square between Uranus and Saturn. Uranus in Taurus, square Saturn in Aquarius. That tremendous tension between the status quo and that rebellious instinct to break free reminds me of what a teacher of mine used to say. Are you breaking free of your prison, or are you just decorating your prison?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like there are stages of freedom, but we have to all consider, in what ways am I still held and imprisoning myself? You know, is there even more freedom to be had?
Yes. I think too that some of the ways that people have decided to deal with the situation on the planet at the moment, and all the restrictions and the everything people feel is holding them back, is to detach.
Yes.
Which is another Uranian sort of thing. So, but we have to be careful that we don't detach so much that we cut ourselves off.
That's right.
Completely. You know what I mean?
Completely disengage. Yeah.
Because then you just put yourself in another prison.
That's right.
You're a small prison of your own making, and you're the only inmate. So, and that's, so
yes,
you've got to balance it.
That's right. And it's really important with that Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus to maintain or create even new connections with community and like-minded friends. It's so important here. Isolation. I mean, even for loners, even there, it's important to have a sense of connection with people.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Aquarian energy. It's so important. It's that collective impulse to be in community. So yes, I just felt that strong urge to really print that out as like a visual. It has such impact. You know, and here's where all the action is over here. There's two very dynamic. I mean, one archetype we could speak of with Mars Uranus contacts is the freedom fighter. If Mars is the warrior, when it's connected to Uranus, it's, you know, I'm fighting for freedom.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I say freedom, I'm not talking about freedom in an irresponsible way. I don't think of it like that. You know, it's freedom from external forces of control and domination, and, you know.
Yeah. Now you had, I think you were showing Chiron in the north. What were you showing? And go back to that chart again.
No, Chiron's not on this one.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, what am I seeing? Or is that an Oh, what have you got
Oh,
here?
down here?
Yeah, up there.
This is the new moon.
Yes, but
So
just
the
above
new
sun.
moon's here at 5 of Leo. That's Ceres, great
Yes,
mother
sorry.
goddess.
Yes. It seems to be the opposite for me.
Oh yeah, because
I
you
know
are
something
actually seeing it back to front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So Ceres is the great mother goddess, and she's very present on this Leo new moon. And I think that's a strong, I mean, God, there's so much going on. See, Taurus is also farming and food production. There's so much going. I mean, look at the rebellions that was triggered in Holland, in the Netherlands, which is still going on, which has actually then set off other countries, because all around the world, the issues are the same.
Yeah.
You know, this devouring of farmland by the big corporations and powerfully wealthy individuals. I mean, there's just so much happening in so many ways. And Ceres has a lot to do with the land and the fertile earth and the production of food to sustain the people. So she's like quite highlighted on this new moon. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. All right, so a little change of pace. Take a breath. Whew, that is and I do want to say, people are going, because I feel it too. I'm trying to stay really conscious and remember to stop and breathe and release, because it can feel very stressful. It's like the pace is relentless. A lot is happening. Like, I had a huge day yesterday. Things just kept happening, and finally, at the end of the day, I sort of felt like I could catch my breath. Nothing terrible happened. It was a great day, but just full on. So it's a very strong pace. There's a lot of energy here, and I think we need to take moments to stop, to pause, get grounded, feet on the earth, take a breath, sit down, have a nice cup of tea. If you can find 5 minutes to do it, you know, like really those moments to pause or to meditate, whatever, even for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So change of pace on the 4th. Now, okay. Before I go on to what's happening on the 4th, when Mercury comes out of Leo and goes into Virgo, I also want to just point out that for the rest of the year, Uranus and the North Node are going to be traveling fairly close together. It's just that in early August, they're exact. They're still doing their thing for the rest of this year, and that's important. You know, we're in a time of tremendous change and upheaval. And this lunar cycle, starting on the 29th in Leo, actually, this whole cycle contains this Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction. So that is true at the full moon in 2 weeks too. You know, it's this is a very powerful lunar cycle, this one.
Yeah.
All right. So on the 4th, Mercury, the planet of communication, messages, thinking, mind, speech, goes into Virgo. Mercury likes Virgo. It actually is a ruler of this sign. And that brings our mind and our thinking to practical things, details, specifics. I often say when these planets go into Virgo, great time to clean out your cupboards and your closets. And it sounds trite, but it's actually very true. And I think it's a very important thing to do. Go through stuff, sort things out, sort out your bookwork, you know, get your tax done, get your papers in order, get your house in order, go through cupboards, get rid of stuff, organize, reorganize. It's very helpful just on a very practical level, but I think it's energetically, mentally, in so many ways, it's a really, really helpful thing to do for our mental well-being.
Yeah.
You know? Grow food, grow herbs, Virgo, take care of your health, clean up the diet.
Yes.
You know, in winter, I know I eat a very clean diet, but I must say in winter, I'm a bit more indulgent. Because it's just, you know, you just want more comfort sort of food.
Yes, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you've got to fuel the body, you know, in winter and help to keep it warm. Absolutely. When we come into the Virgo period, you know, for us, it's sort of pre-spring, you know, beginning, and we start to think of, I think I need to maybe clean that bit up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the spring cleaning that we're approaching.
That's right. That's right. And okay. Then, you know, Mars continues to be active. On the 8th of August, it will make the square to Taurus. So it'll get to 23, 22 degrees of Taurus and square back to Saturn. So that can be quite strong too. That can be quite a strong couple of days of tension, you know, sort of it can't be following behind on the triple conjunction.
Can I just go back to with Jupiter retrograde and Mercury, we've got like I said before, I said higher mindedness. We've got these ideas about things, but with that Virgo energy, which is an earth sign, it's like, well, where's the evidence of that? Like it could be a lot of information going out there, put it that way, but this you know, Virgo says, well, okay, but is it real? That sort of thing.
Yes. And yes, and where's the evidence? And I need specifics.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I think we've seen that happening in the media too, haven't we?
That's right. That's right. So Virgo is very much about the details, isn't it? And those of you who are Virgo or have strong Virgo or know Virgos or live with them, you'll know like the details are important here. It's the sign that does focus on the minutiae. I remember years ago when I did Orosoma, I've forgotten a lot of it, but certain things stay with me. And one of them was that magenta, there was a phrase used for something about love in the details. Is that?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
The little things, basically. Yeah.
It's about the little things and putting your love and heart and attention into the little things, which can make a surprising difference. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, whether it's to do with a well-run office or your own home or health, you know, small things can make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but you're absolutely right, like wanting more evidence and proof.
And particularly at a time, I think, when there's a lot of unfounded information going out into the public arena, I think there is a need for a call for looking at the evidence, because what's been spoken about in the media is not necessarily true.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So we have to go, okay, well, you're saying that, but that's not what I've read on various websites.
That's right. That's right.
Run by the government, you know, so where is this coming from, you know?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, yeah. And it can be messaging coming out in the public arena about health and medical matters, because Virgo is the primary sign to do with health and illness and medical matters.
Yes, and aren't we seeing a lot of that with a lot of fear mongering around health issues now?
Absolutely. Ramped up once again. Here, you know, you start to see the first beginnings and you go, here we go again.
Yeah, exactly. And that was
here we go.
My friend said, I can't go through this again.
Just turn it off.
Yes, exactly.
That's right. And then on the 11th, the Sun, which on the big triple conjunction in early August was back at 5, comes to 18 of Leo and squares back to the Uranus North Node energy. So these faster moving planets will continue to activate these different points on this grand cross. Certainly the Sun and Mars will. Just checking the time. I think we're doing pretty well.
Almost bang on.
Yeah, fantastic. That brings us to the 12th of August, when Venus goes into Leo. She comes out of Cancer, you know, that water sign of softness and nurture and tenderness and so on, and withdrawal more. Venus goes, ta-da, here I am in Leo.
Well, hopefully she can tone it down.
Oh no, not Venus in Leo. So this is, if we're going to go, talk about the archetype of the goddess, for example, Venus or the feminine, this is when she gets out her crown, her, gold llama. I'm exaggerating, but it's Leo, so we can, the hot pink, the gold lame, the what they used to call bling, didn't they, back in the 80s, get out the bling, Venus.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely a strong urge to express, because one of the things Venus is about, it is about creativity and art.
Yes. Yeah.
And in I often imagine, just use this as a metaphor, imagine someone who's an artist who paints, how Venus in the different signs might express themselves on a canvas with paint, what kind of colors, what would be their style. In Cancer, it would be all kind of soft and fluid and flowing. In Leo, it's just bright colors, splash it around, bold, dramatic. Yeah, lots of gold. That kind of thing. Yeah. So that feels to me like quite a joyful energy coming in. Venus in Leo, and she'll be in Leo for about 4 weeks then. And it could be also just having fun with people, getting together with your friends and your girlfriends and playing a bit.
Yeah.
However, on the same day, the full moon occurs at 19 degrees of Aquarius, opposite the sun at 19 of Leo, but the full moon will be conjunct Saturn and square Uranus in the North Node. So it's a very powerful full moon.
Interesting.
As part of this important Leo lunar cycle coming up. So I think.
So full moon in Aquarius.
Full moon in Aquarius.
Isn't Saturn, it's the old ruler of Aquarius?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Absolutely. So this is a pretty big, dramatic, strong, wild lunar cycle.
Yeah.
It is, but it can also be incredibly creative. And I think the word breakthroughs is so important. And before a breakthrough, often it can get very strong and challenging. It's that pressure that builds before something finally just cracks open and there's a release.
Yeah. It's a horrible feeling too.
That pressure before the breakthrough, it's very uncomfortable, extremely
very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Very stressful.
Palpable.
But it's like, though we've all had those moments where we just go, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this. And I've had those moments, and literally those words have come in so strong. I can't do this one more day. Until we hit that point, is it ready to change? And then there's no other option but for it to change.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, it is a strong time, everybody. And I wish everybody well as we transition through this. And look, truly it will affect everybody differently, of course. Yes. But it is a sort of a peak point in the year.
But I do think it helps for us to take conscious steps to let some of that steam escape from the pressure cooker.
Exactly.
In smaller steps, because then you won't blow up.
Exactly.
Be conscious of it.
Like that pressure cooker that our mothers had, it had that valve to release the steam or it would explode.
Yeah, exactly.
All over the kitchen.
Well, there you go. Oh my God, another lunar cycle to digest.
Yes, an action-packed one.
Yeah, and really leading to the action-packed next 6 months, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, really, that's right. Because there'll be a change of energies next year. So this year is quite a bit to unfold.
So next year, do you think it will be less relentless, or it'll just be a different tack?
It will be different because our friend Pluto begins to dip his toes into Aquarius. It'll take him 2 years to do this dance across the cusp.
Yeah.
But also in March, Saturn leaves Aquarius and goes into Pisces for 2.5 years.
Okay.
There's two quite important changes of energy. And you know, Jupiter moves more quickly, but he'll be in Aries and Taurus. But it's that change of sign for Saturn and Pluto, which is really huge. I mean, it's going to take Pluto 2 years to finally move out of Capricorn.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll still be doing this, Sheryl, in 10 years' time.
I think we will. I think we'll keep doing this for quite a while because there's so much to follow, isn't there?
There's so much to follow and so much is happening in collectively, but in everyone's lives. So much is happening for everyone I know.
Yeah. Oh, well. Stay with us, folks. Keep following us on the star trails, following the star trails.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and feel free to share. We'd love it if you share this around. And again, leave comments. If you can relate to some of this or you've seen it already starting to happen in your life, let us know. And because it's nice to know that, well, it's not nice to know, but you know, it's
helpful.
It's helpful to know how different things play out in people's lives according to the planetary movements. Yeah. So thank you again, Babula, for your wonderful knowledge and expertise in the subject.
It's a pleasure, Sheryl. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah. And I will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.